to be honest. We've stopped orders going from certain places, and in a couple of places, like we had a big order going to Italy on important outfits and some ventilators, and it was going to Italy. They made the order a long time ago, and I said, you got to let it go. They had an order, and I could have cut it. Under the act, I could have cut it. I said, nope, you can't do that. You got to let it go. You know, they have big problems. We had an order going to Spain, and I said, let it go. I could have stopped it. I said, let it go. We're going to be fine. I said, let it go. So it works that way also. One other thing as to your question, oftentimes, and we've told this to the governors, Mike, we've been very strong on this, if you think there's bidding between federal government and state, let us know and we'll drop out immediately. Or you drop out and we lower the price.
Against each other.
No. If we're bidding against each other, I said find out who it is. And usually they know. Everyone knows. And we're notified, and we get notified, and we'll either drop out or they'll drop out. But we have another problem. There are 151 countries out there beyond the states. There are 151 countries that have this problem, and they're ordering too. It's really a mess. Now, in a little while, the hardest thing to get are the ventilators because they're, you know, it takes a while to build them. And we have thousands of them being built right now. In a little while, they'll be worth about $5. But right now, they're very valuable. And we're going to have a lot of them being shipped. In fact, that's why General Motors called up before Mary. That's why others called up. 2 days ago, they called up that they're all in production. And they're starting to arrive in a week and a half. But there'll be a time when we're going to build stockpiles. By the way, the states should have been building their stockpile. We have almost 10,000 in our stockpile, and we've been building it, and we've been supplying it. But the states should be building. We're a backup. We're not an ordering clerk. We're a backup. And we've done an unbelievable job. Like, for instance, who ever heard of a governor calling up, sir, can you build us a hospital of 2,500 rooms? And we built it. Can you build us 4 medical centers? We built it. Can you deliver a ship, a hospital ship, with 1,000 rooms? And we did it. And we did it in Los Angeles, too. We've done an unbelievable job. These people. And thousands of people behind them. But we're a backup. Ideally, those hospitals would have had all this equipment. Ideally, those states should have had all this equipment. And I think they will the next time. You know, you heard the case where thousands of ventilators could have been had at a very inexpensive price 3 years ago. And a certain state decided not to exercise that right because they wanted to build a road or they wanted to build something else because it's big money. You're talking about, I think it was $1 billion. But you're talking about a lot of money for something that may never happen. Because normally on a ventilator, other than a pandemic or an epidemic, you wouldn't need anything like this. Hospitals have 3 ventilators, big hospitals, and they get by with it. And now they want thousands. I mean, they want thousands of ventilators. You call up a governor and they'll say, sir, could you send us 40,000 ventilators? Nobody has ever heard of a thing like this. So they've done some job. Let me just tell you, when Secretary Mnuchin spoke, they want you to call not .com, but SBA.gov, okay, for the application and for information. Okay, so it's SBA, small business, SBA.gov, okay, if you don't mind. Yeah, let's go, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. President. I want to follow up from a question yesterday regarding your administration's denial of the expansion of Obamacare's special enrollment period in the wake of this pandemic. In your own words, VP Pence gave a 5-minute non-answer, but people facing this pandemic illness and even worse, most experts say that having health care is critical to our nation's health and financial well-being. Can you assure Americans tonight that you will reopen Obamacare marketplace so that they can be covered in this time of combined health
we're doing
and
better than that.
financial crisis?
No, I understand the question, and we're doing better than that. We're going to try and get a cash payment to the people, and we're working out the mechanics of that with legislature. So we're going to try and get them a cash payment because just opening it up doesn't help as much. So we're going to work it out. So we're going to try and get for that certain group of people, it's a certain group of people, a cash payment. Go ahead.
I really want to ask you about masks, but I also just wanted to follow up on a couple of hanging threads there. Just the question earlier about the bidding. What happens, though, when states are bidding against each other on those markets?
Well, they have that, and they have to work that out. What they should do is they should have, long before this pandemic arrived, they should have been on the open market just buying. There was no competition. You could have made a great price. The states have to stock up. It's like one of those things. They waited. They didn't want to spend the money because they thought this would never happen. And their shelves, in some cases, were bare. And by the way, in some cases, they weren't. They were beautifully serviced. They did a good job. But in some cases, their shelves were bare. So the best thing they can do is when times become normalized, and they will, hopefully soon, and actually, you're going to have a lot of excess material because so much is being done right now in terms of protective gear, protective outfits. A lot's being done. It's going to be, within 6 months, it's going to be sold for the right price. They got to stack up for the next time. But we are doing that, and the Admiral's done a fantastic job. Senator Schumer wrote a letter today, and he says, you should put a military man in charge. I said, well, Chuck, if you knew a little bit more, we have one of the most highly respected people in the military, the Admiral. This is what he does, too, very professionally. And he's in charge, but Chuck didn't know that. Okay, Jeff first.
Mr. President, you tweeted this morning about your call with Saudi Arabia's MBS. We've had some people say that the figures that you cited between 10 million and 15 million barrels per day is not what they're agreeing to. Can you be more specific about what?
I don't know what they're agreeing to. I think they might agree to more than that. Look, Russia.
Did he tell you that, sir?
Russia, yeah, he did say that actually. Russia talked about 10 million barrels. Russia and Saudi Arabia are fighting over this, and as everybody knows, it's really killing an industry, hurting Russia badly, hurting Saudi Arabia badly. I said, this is an easy one. It should be an easy one, and it may be 10, and it may be more than that. I was actually told it may be 10, as I told somebody before. It may be 10, and it may be more than that. Maybe it's 15. Maybe it goes up to 15. Could be as high as 15. And, there's a tremendous oversupply right now. That industry was oversupplied before the virus. And when the virus came along, they lost 35, 40% of the world.